It's been no secret, Idaho's economy hasn't exactly been torpedoed by the pandemic. In fact, it's flourished. For all of fiscal year 2021, going back to July of last year, the actual revenue coming into the general fund surpassed predicted numbers. They're indicated there in red and blue. The predicted numbers blue, actual numbers in red. And those numbers are based on income and sales taxes. And that happened every month. Well, other than April, when state income taxes are usually filed, but they were postponed to May because of the pandemic, which, as you can see in May, a huge disparity between predicted numbers and actual numbers. By the beginning of June, we knew we were setting a new record for surplus cash in Idaho to the tune of nearly $810 million. The most money we've ever had to play with, ever. And now we are in a new fiscal year as of July 1st, and that bank account keeps getting more swole. Tuesday, Governor Brad Little announced we ended the 2021 fiscal year with a surplus of nearly $900 million. The state took in more than $5 billion for the first time ever, nearly 25% more than the year before. So when there's a surplus of cash, you can bet there's a surplus of ideas on what to do with it. And when Governor Little let it be known we had nearly $1 billion in a bank account, the Idaho Education Association, they were ready. They immediately had a list of where we could and should spend it. And they came up with 6 items. They say that money could help with class sizes and teacher workloads. It could help with increased support staff pay, an increase in the number of counselors and psychologists to provide for mental health support, improved and updated facilities to replace the old ones. Property taxes should also be better addressed. And all of it would mean better preparation for college or careers for students. And a lot of Idaho's governors and legislators have campaigned on education being a top priority. It's been like a pastime for politicians. Well, Idaho's teachers union says it's way past time for those lawmakers to put the money where their mouth is. And you can kind of picture it like most of us eat popcorn by the fistful. The president of the Idaho Education Association explains it to us.
One of the top priorities would be to look at class sizes.
According to the IEA, Idaho is 6th in the nation for highest average class size, meaning more work for teachers and less time for effective one-on-one education.
But when you have overcrowded classrooms, then it's a lot more difficult for that educator to identify or recognize issues that could become a bigger problem later on down the road.
Speaking of bigger problems, McAnally says mental health support is vital.
It means that we need to have school counselors and nurses and psychologists in every single building across the state. We know that our counselor to student ratio is not where it needs to be.
Right now, he says, a lot of districts rely on teachers to fill those roles, adding to an already wide workload.
And if the educator was able to solely focus on educating the student, and when they see an emotional need arise, being able to have them go over to a counselor or a psychologist who has been professionally trained in that area would help the educator be able to do their job better.
And better is how McAnally says support staff should be paid, like bus drivers and kitchen staff and custodians.
We know that they could walk across the street and work at a fast food restaurant or at Target and make more than they're making in our school systems.
Does that come from the state or does that come from the school district?
The state gives the school district an allocation of money, and then the district decides how to utilize it best. And so if the district had more money in order to use, then they would be able to pay their paraprofessionals better.
Sure, the state just budgeted $2 billion from the general fund for the first time to pay for K-12 education and included an additional $1 million increase for teacher pay, but that still doesn't translate to a better standing.
Idaho is 51st in the nation in per pupil funding. We are at the very bottom of the barrel. So raising the per pupil funding would help us achieve a lot of these goals.
A lot of those goals lean on the others. More better paid teachers and staff to fill more updated schools would lead to better college and career readiness. McAnally says they're all connected.
If we have a strong public education system here, it's going to draw businesses to Idaho. It's going to draw more families to Idaho. It's going to draw a better work environment for Idahoans. And so having public education in Idaho be funded properly will only help everybody succeed.
McAnally also pointed out property tax relief as something that should be better addressed with this surplus, since so many Idaho schools, especially the smaller ones, have to rely on local levies and bonds to fund their budgets. Granted, this surplus is huge, and there are going to be lots of other ideas brought forth on how it could be used, but all of it won't be decided until the legislature reconvenes next year. It's the primary purpose of Idaho's legislature to set the state budget and allocate funds. Governor Little has already said he hopes to advocate for tax relief and strategic investments in, you guessed it, education.